My name is Laura, and I am a fourth-year occupational therapy student at Southern Cross University. So to date, I've been on 4 placements, and I'm just about to start my final 10-week placement on Monday. I was relieved that the first placement was just observation. I thought that took a lot of pressure off of a very unknown environment, that I went into that knowing that I wasn't expected of very much, and that helped me to just be able to sit back and have a look. It was interesting because it started to redefine what I thought OT was, so that was an interesting insight. The placements that followed after that first 1-weeker, I felt really lucky because I seemed to have supervisors who were quite willing to follow my lead in terms of not stepping without the boundaries of my skill level, but if I wanted a little bit more responsibility, they were happy to give it. And so I then had 3 placements that followed that were very fulfilling and very challenging at the same time. And because I was supported by people who were quite willing to let me take those steps. So it made it really interesting. In terms of working with your supervisors and going through feedback process and things like that, I guess the way that I approached it was I knew who I was and I knew how I liked to get feedback or what I wanted from feedback, but you can't control the person on the other side of the table giving you the feedback. So I approached it that quite early on I tried to work out what kind of person my supervisor was in a nice way, like to work out what makes them tick, what their areas of interest are in terms of their job. And I tried to identify what they felt was an important part of their job, because invariably the feedback that you get from them comes from their place, and they're trying to look at you as a student, but they're also developing you from how they see, what they see is important in terms of occupational therapy. And so I tried to take any criticism from that light, that maybe they're approaching OT in a different way to how I think I should be approaching it. And so I never took it personally, but I always took it on board that there are really a lot of different areas that you need to develop in occupational therapy. And the good thing by meeting a variety of supervisors is you'll get supervisors who are going to pull you up on things that maybe you wouldn't have thought of yourself. So feedback was really handy. I think even if you don't fully understand the feedback in the moment that you're given it, I think that over time you can process that feedback that you get, and so you don't have to be perfect in the moment that you get that feedback and maybe even deliver on those skills in that moment. But by the next placement, you can then turn that into your next goal. Oh, I'd like to do that better next time. As long as it's not a very detrimental thing that's been highlighted, it's always something that you can put as your next step. I had my own schedule and I blocked out when they had told me they wouldn't be around. And I used my own time schedule to work out whether or not I was going to use that time to research things or look things up, whether or not I was going to use that time to improve my relationships with other staff, because I was in some cases in my 6th week I was the only OT around besides my supervisor. So I was surrounded by a lot of non-OT staff who had a lot of knowledge. So I worked out if I wanted to spend time forging those relationships or whether or not I needed to spend that time with my caseload that I had been given. So I have a principle on placement that really there's no reason to ever have nothing to do, because even if it's working on something that is still OT related but that you haven't been given to do, there's always something else to do. For someone who's just about to go on their very first placement, I guess I would do some key things. I would just say, wear clean clothes, turn up on time, be friendly and approachable. Take a notebook, a pen, and a clipboard, and see what happens from there, but be excited.